All right, let's talk about one of the biggest, most exciting leaps forward in AI today: agents. And I'm not just talking about another slightly smarter chatbot. No, no. We're talking about a huge shift from tools we have to command to proactive digital partners that actually get stuff done for us. So let's dive in. I love this quote because it really nails it. We are moving away from software that we have to micromanage to autonomous teammates that we can actually collaborate with. It's the difference between giving a list of instructions and just delegating the whole outcome. And believe me, this future is already starting to happen. So, what is an AI agent really? What makes it tick? Well, it all boils down to four key things. First, it has to be autonomous. It can work on its own. Second, it perceives its digital world, whether that's your inbox, a company database, or the entire internet. Third, it decides what the best next step is. And finally, and this is the most important part, it acts. It uses tools, it calls APIs, it actually interacts with other systems to reach a goal you've given it. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to break down how these agents think, check out where they're already making an impact in the real world, explore how you can start building or using them, and then wrap up with the super important topic of how to do it all responsibly. Okay, so let's get into the fun part. How does an agent actually, think? How does it go from a simple request like, plan my trip, to a complex, multi-step solution? It's all about what's going on under the hood. You know, agents have come a long way. The early ones were just simple reflex agents. Basically, they followed if this, then that rules. If it sees a keyword in an email, it performs one specific action. No memory, no context, super basic. But today's advanced agents, they're a whole different animal. They build a kind of mental map of their world, they learn from their successes and failures, and they can strategize to hit really complex, long-term goals. At the heart of any modern agent is this constant cycle. First, it thinks. It looks at the goal, analyzes the situation, and pulls from its memory. Then it acts. It picks a tool, maybe it runs a web search or queries a database. And finally, it observes. It looks at the result of its action and asks, did that work? Did that get me closer to my goal? This feedback loop is what lets it learn and adapt on the fly. You know, kind of like we do. So what's powering this loop? Well, it's a team of key components working together. You've got the foundation model. That's the brains of the operation, the reasoning engine. The planning module is like the project manager, breaking down that big goal into smaller, chewable tasks. Memory systems give it context, so it remembers what happened before. Tool integration is what gives it hands, letting it actually do things. And finally, the learning and reflection part is what lets it get smarter over time. All right, that's enough of the technical stuff. Let's talk about where this is all hitting the real world, because this is where it gets really, really cool. So, if you're a manager or a business owner, listen up, because agents are becoming this incredible force multiplier. I mean, can you imagine a meeting assistant that doesn't just record the audio, but actually understands the conversation, pulls out the action items, and then assigns them to the right people? Or a research assistant that can digest dozens of articles and produce a summary report in minutes instead of days? This isn't science fiction. It's happening right now. And it's not just for work either. In our own lives, these agents are kind of like having a personal digital assistant that's actually helpful. Think about an agent that learns your email habits so well, it can sort your inbox and draft replies that sound just like you. Or a personal shopper that really gets your style and budget. Or even a personalized tutor for your kids that adapts to how they learn. Okay, and for all you developers out there, this is a total game changer. Forget just linting. We're talking about an agent that can scan your entire codebase, find bugs, and then actually suggest the fix. Or a DevOps agent that's watching your systems 24/7 and can diagnose and maybe even fix an issue before a human ever gets paged in the middle of the night. Okay, so you're probably thinking, this sounds amazing. How do I get started? Well, the great news is there are paths for everyone, whether you write code or not. If you're not a developer, the way in is through no-code platforms. The key is to just look at your own workflow and find those repetitive, annoying tasks that eat up your time. From there, you can use pre-built templates on services like Zapier or Bardeen to automate them. My advice? Start small, get a win, and then build on it as you get more comfortable. Now, for you developers, this is where you can really let loose. Frameworks like LangChain and Crew AI are incredible. They basically give you the building blocks so you're not starting from scratch. You can build super specific agents for your industry, or even create whole teams of agents that work together on complex problems. And you can plug them right into the apps you've already built. Now, as more and more people build these agents, we're starting to see these common blueprints for success pop up. Think of these design patterns like proven recipes from a master chef. They're just established ways to solve common problems and make your agents way smarter and more reliable. Let's look at two of the big ones. First up is reflection, and this one is a game changer for quality. So with reflection, the agent doesn't just hand in its first draft. It actually stops, looks at its own work and asks, is this actually good? Can I make it better? And then it goes back and improves it. It's like it has its own built-in editor, constantly checking its work. Super powerful. The second pattern is multi-agent collaboration. This one is so cool. Instead of building one giant super agent that knows everything, you build a team of specialists. You might have a researcher agent that's great at finding information and a writer agent that's great at putting it into a report. They work together, each doing what they're best at to solve a much bigger problem. Okay, but with all this incredible power, you knew this was coming, comes some pretty big responsibility. When you give a system this much freedom to act on its own, you have to think really, really carefully about safety, security, and ethics. So we have to ask the tough question, right? With this much autonomy, what could actually go wrong? We need to anticipate these pitfalls before they turn into real problems. So there are a few common traps we need to watch out for. Memory poisoning. That's just a fancy way of saying someone feeds the agent bad info to mess it up. Tool misuse is when a hacker tricks your agent into using one of its tools for something nasty. The fixes are really just basic security hygiene. Always validate what people are feeding your agent, limit what tools it can access, and for goodness sake, don't hard-code your passwords. When it comes down to it, deploying these things responsibly really boils down to a few core ideas. The biggest one? Human oversight. For any really important, high-stakes decision, a human has to be in the loop. Period. We have to protect data privacy with crystal clear policies. We need to aim for transparency so we can understand why an agent made a decision. And we have to continuously monitor what it's doing to make sure it's behaving the way we expect it to. So what's the big picture here? What we're really seeing is this massive shift from just building apps to, well, to assembling dynamic digital teams. AI agents are officially moving out of the research lab and into our real day-to-day workflows. And honestly, their impact is just getting started. And that brings us to one last really important thought to leave you with. An agent is a tool that's designed to relentlessly pursue a goal. But as these agents become our teammates, that forces us to ask, who's really in charge of making sure we've given them the right goals in the first place? Thanks for joining me.